county mayor, commission work better together with the sheriff and the sheriff's department. And Mr. Kennedy, please go first.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank the mayor so much for taking the opportunity to tell the current sheriff that, no, you can't shoot for the moon. We're not going to give you a 34% increase in your budget when you ask for that. When I was getting my master's degree from Cumberland University, I learned a thing called zero-based budget. Zero-based budget means that every year in a line item budget, and as a commander of the school resource officers, I brought a line item budget to the county commission every year and never asked for an increase. So a zero-based budget, instead of starting with $34 million every year and just going up, you start with $0. And then from that $0, you only ask for what you need, not what you want, what you need. And so I think not only the sheriff's department, but the entire county ought to go to what is called a zero-based budget instead of our taxes continue to go up simply because we want more money, we want more things. We start with just what we need. I also want to thank the mayor so much for having the courage to put school resource officers in the schools at a time in which we truly need them. After Sandy Hook, my entire career with the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Truman Jones put me in charge of the school resource officers. I did everything I can to fill every school in this county with a school resource officer. And I want to thank the mayor for putting a school resource officer in every school in the county. The current sheriff, after Sandy Hook, instead of saying we need school resource officers, he goes for a photo op with the Joe Carr and the superintendent of schools, and says, we're going to put guns, we want every teacher to have a gun, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. We have trained professional law enforcement officers protecting those kids, and that is what we need in those schools. As far as working with the mayor and the county commission, the current administration, just a good example was the workhouse, when the sheriff tried to take over the workhouse when the mayor was out of town. And see, so there is situations in where there are hostilities between the mayor and the sheriff, and those need to stop. You know, it needs to be a collaborative effort between the county commission, between the sheriff's office, and the mayor's office.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Crown.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think that if I was elected sheriff, I would definitely have an open door policy for anybody to come see me, most definitely. We definitely have to have a relationship with the mayor's office. We have to have a relationship with the county commissioners. But if I propose a budget and there's certain things in there, number one, from one year to the next, I will not propose a $6 million increase from one budget year to the next and propose it and just throw it up on the wall and see what sticks. That's not going to happen. Another thing is, a lot of the concerns that I was having from some of the commissioners is the sheriff's department will propose a budget 2 days before they vote on it. Now, I don't know about y'all, but the sheriff's department is pretty big. It's $38.5 million. There's a lot of line items in there. These commissioners they take the ability of the sheriff and they listen to the word, and they hope that whatever the sheriff is asking for is what they actually need. Well, we don't, and I'll give you a perfect example of that. How many in here is taxpayers? Raise your hand if you're a taxpayer. I'm just curious, okay? One of my biggest pet peeves when I was at the sheriff's department was allowing out-of-town, out-of-county vehicle take-home cars to go with certain people. So in other words, I've got officers who choose to live in Cannon County, they choose to live in Warren County, they pay half the taxes that we pay here. But guess who's got a brand new car to take home into their county, provided by who? Us. If that doesn't get your temperature up, nothing will. Because I sure don't want anybody benefiting unless they're in this county paying taxes just like every single person in this room. When he proposes a budget for brand new cars, this isn't the mayor's issue. If the mayor proposes $1.2 million in vehicles, that's not to give vehicle maintenance a brand new truck when I've got deputies running around with cars that's got 150,000, 120,000 miles on them. Does that make any sense to anybody? Why do our vehicle maintenance guys have take-home cars? Why does the sheriff and current administration have brand new vehicles? When I drove before I got fired, I drove a minivan. I will find that minivan if I'm elected, and I will drive that thing until the wheels fall off of it. Because what we have is we have too many people hey, you got a cool car, and then I want it. And then next thing you know, we got all these high dollar vehicles when all they do is go to a crime scene after it happens. We don't need blue lights and all these sirens and backup camera. We don't need all this stuff. We need basic stuff that I'm going to provide to every single person in here because that's the way I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trammell. Mr. Armour.
You can accomplish a lot by sitting down and not caring about who gets credit for the victory. When you sit down with the budget and the mayor's office, and I think the specific question was about the mayor, but just say the whole county. When you sit down, you work together, you say, this is what I have, this is what I need, this is what we're projecting we're going to have to continue the level of service. And at that time, you start working out a compromise. Can we move something here or there? When you're open-minded and you're sitting down and you're treating each other as equals, yes, there are constitutional offices, and we do stand alone, but we still stand for the citizens of Rutherford County. We've got to work together. You can get a lot accomplished, like I said a while ago, if you don't care who gets credit for it. I had 29 counties I was in charge of for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for drug trafficking. Not to investigate drug trafficking, excuse me. Not that we were running drugs. But anyway, out of those 29 counties, I had 13 agents. So you sit down and you start going, okay, I've got a major task, because we were tasked to go after mid-level and up drug trafficking organizations. With 13 agents that scattered over 29 counties, you learn to work with somebody. We were able to work with people and other agencies across the state because we knew what our limited resources were, what their limited resources were, and you start adding them together, all of a sudden you've got a lot of resources. We took 29, this drug program we did, we wound up breaking the back of the vice lords in Clarksville. We saw 4 homicides, one was a cold case homicide. We got life sentences on a lot of gang members because we worked together. And I'm using the law enforcement side of this, even though it's an administrative question, that's what I want to do when I sit down with the mayor's office. Okay, this is what we have, how can we help? What can you do to help us complete our mission? And that's where I think we need to go with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armour. Mr. Arnold.
Well, I'd like to say, I think since being in office, we have an excellent working relationship with the county commission. Have a good working relationship with the mayor. Go to the mayor quite a bit with different things that we have going on within the sheriff's office. You know, and ask for his advice, ask for his help and guidance in some things, especially when it comes to budgetary issues. Just like when the brick were falling off the building, I needed his help to help sell that to the commissioners. But then I also had to go to the commissioners myself and talk with each and every one of them and explain what was going on. Just like with the kitchen, when we had to remodel it because it hadn't been taken care of, and we had to go down to the dirt. Me and the mayor worked together on the blueprints. We worked together to get the funding to make sure it didn't cost you, the taxpayer, anything out of your taxes. It came out of the litigation fund. So really, prisoners, people that were going through the court system and had been charged with crimes with their litigation tax, they funded that kitchen. So it's working together with things like this. And every year, I go to the mayor with a budget. We go to budget and finance, or we go to public safety. And then from there, me and the mayor sit down and we talk, and we come up with something. And for the past 3 years, my budget has been, you know, I've agreed with the mayor's recommendation on the budget. So we work together. We have those compromises, and I work with the county commission daily. I talk to some commissioners at least every other day, working with them to help solve the problems within their communities and within the county as a whole. So I think that we have that excellent partnership between the mayor's office and the county commission, and we'll continue to do that. Continue to work together and be a strong force for the community.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. The next item on the agenda is a break, which is always nice. So for 10 minutes, this will give the AARP folks a chance to collect questions from the audience. So let's take 10, we'll reconvene.